I used to believe that silence meant peace. After my divorce, I realized it can also mean loneliness. A year had passed since Rachel and I signed those papers, yet some nights still carried the faint scent of her perfume on the couch. I never hated her. Hate requires energy, and she drained all of mine long before things ended. Our marriage wasn't full of chaos. It was full of slow neglect. I was the kind of man who believed love thrived on small gestures. Morning coffee together, a text in the middle of the day, a random hug while passing in the kitchen. Rachel used to smile at those things once. Then one day, she just stopped. It wasn't sudden. It was gradual, like watching daylight fade behind clouds you didn't notice forming. I still remember the night she told me she needed space. She didn't cry, and somehow that hurt the most. She simply said, "Ethan, I feel suffocated." I nodded, pretending to understand, but deep down I already knew. Space was just a gentle word for distance, and distance is the first step toward goodbye. We spent 6 months trying to revive something already gone. Therapy sessions, date nights that felt like appointments, conversations that trailed off into silence as one of us reached for our phone. When she finally said she wanted a divorce, I only asked, "Are you sure?" She said yes. And that was it. 12 years reduced to one word. After that, life turned quiet, the kind of quiet that makes even your own breathing sound too loud. I moved into a smaller apartment by the river, started running again, learned to cook meals that didn't come from a microwave. Healing was slow but steady. Each day, the past loosened its grip just a little more. Then one Sunday afternoon, a message appeared on my phone. "Hey, can we meet? Just to talk?" It was Rachel. For a moment, I just stared at her name, half expecting it to disappear like a ghost. I almost ignored it, but curiosity, that cruel twin of nostalgia, won. We decided to meet at a small cafe downtown, the same place where we had our first date. In hindsight, that choice felt painfully ironic. She showed up 10 minutes late, still carrying that effortless grace that once undid me. Time had been kind to her. Or maybe it was guilt that softened how I saw her. When she smiled, it wasn't a smile I remembered. It was polite practice, the kind people give to strangers. We started with small talk, work, weather, the usual filler words. She mentioned she still lived in our old house. I told her about my new apartment, the one with walls that didn't echo with memories. It felt awkward, like trying to dance after the music had stopped. Then she leaned forward and asked a question that took the air out of my lungs. "Ethan, were you ever really happy with me?" I froze, not because of the question, but because of how she asked it, her voice trembling like she was confessing something she didn't mean to. I looked at her, really looked, and saw something I hadn't seen in years. Doubt. A dozen answers fought for space in my head. Angry ones, bitter ones, the kind that would make her regret everything. But none of them felt right. So I told her the truth. "Yes, Rachel. For a long time, I was..." She looked surprised. Maybe she expected me to say no, to tell her she'd ruined me. But the truth was more complicated than that. We had good years. Great ones, even. But happiness isn't a permanent state. It's a collection of moments we forget to protect. And we stopped protecting ours long before the marriage ended. She stared down at her coffee, like it could rewrite the past. Then she whispered, "I think about it sometimes, about us. I wonder if I made a mistake." That was the second blow, not because I still wanted her, but because I knew exactly what she meant. Regret always shows up after the damage can't be undone. I stayed quiet for a while, watching her fingers trace the rim of her cup. I remembered those same hands resting on my chest during late-night movies. Funny how memories can be both warm and cruel. Finally, I said, "Maybe you did, but so did I." She looked up, and for a moment, we weren't exes anymore, just two people who once loved each other and failed. No villains, no victims, just two flawed humans who let silence win. She nodded slowly, as if she understood. "You seem different," she said. "Happier." I smiled faintly. I stopped trying to fix things that weren't mine to fix. After that, the tension softened. We talked about my family, her job, light conversation that felt bittersweet, like the last sip of coffee before it goes cold. Eventually, she glanced at her watch. "I should go," she said, standing up. Then she hesitated. "It was good seeing you, Ethan." I nodded. "You too, Rachel." And just like that, she was gone again, only this time the emptiness didn't follow. I paid the bill, stepped into the cool air, and felt something click into place. Closure isn't something someone gives you. It's something you decide you already have. That night, I sat by my window, watching city lights shimmer across the river. For the first time, the silence didn't feel lonely. It felt earned. I thought about her question again. "Were you ever really happy with me?" And I understood why it had shaken me. Because the real question wasn't whether I'd been happy. It was whether I'd learned to be happy without her. And I had. Maybe that's what healing really is. Not forgetting someone, but remembering them without pain. So if Rachel ever asks me another question someday, I hope it's something simple. Like, how have you been? Because now I can finally answer honestly. I'm doing all right. And I hope she is too.